Your next door neighbor can't leave a house, and the strange jade statue has something to do with it. Meet Yuji. He lives next door to a girl named Rina. She's a few years younger than him, but can't leave the house because of a serious illness. A doctor regularly comes to her house, but lately his visits have caused her to become extremely agitated. She screams in terror that there are bugs swarming all over her, although her mother tells her it's just a hallucination. After hearing the commotion, Yuji thinks to himself, damn, she must really hate bugs. One day not too long ago, he looked outside his window and saw Rina looking at her backyard, which is overgrown, messy, and dying, because it doesn't get much sunlight. She notices him looking at her. She smiles and points at her overgrown bushes, giggling. Oh, by the way, if you have trypophobia, you might want to give this one a miss. As she is pointing, Yuji notices that the skin on her arm is full of deep holes everywhere. Upon seeing this, he has a flashback to his childhood, of when his grandfather was dying. Yuji saw that his grandfather's body had become completely hollowed out, with holes similar to Irina's. Back to the present, he is telling his friend Hideo about all the recent events that have happened. Hideo doesn't really believe it, but Yuji says he knows he saw his grandfather with holes all over his body. Whenever he asks his family about it, they always just claim that he imagined it. A few days later, Hideo comes over to Yuji's house to hang out. As Hideo walks into his room, he tells Yuji that he talked to his mum about what he told him the other day about Rina. What I told you not to look, just listen. He explained that his mom knew about her. She was a nurse and she was there when Rina was born. Apparently she was born not breathing at all, and the doctors couldn't explain how it was that she was still alive. After a few days, holes started opening up all over her body. From what his mother said, it was as if she was actually breathing through the holes that appeared. Then again, my mum does like to joke around. Yuji's got no idea what to believe. Hideo then starts going through these old-ass books Yuji has lying around. Yuji explains that because this was his grandfather's room, they must be his. While looking around, Hideo finds a diary. They both start to read through it, and they discover that it was his grandfather's personal diary. They come across a page that has a drawing of an insect. The entry below the drawing goes into detail about his grandfather's final days. On September 13th, he spent the entire day gazing at the insect-like jade sculpture. 10 days later, and he couldn't stop shivering. He felt so cold. Tiny marks started popping up all over his skin, and he doesn't know why. 2 days after that, in the afternoon, a doctor comes by that no one called for. The doctor gives him an injection. 2 more days after that, holes have fully opened up all over his body. He can feel the air entering and passing through him. 2 more days later, and a swarm of insects resembling the jade sculpture come in through his window. They enter his body throughout the holes he is now riddled with. He feels them crawling inside of himself. He finally realizes that he must have been cursed by the jade sculpture. He uses what last strength he has, and tosses the cursed item out of his window, and into the next door neighbor's backyard. The handwriting gets too messy after that point, and becomes illegible. Yuji claims he was right after all, and Rina next door is now being affected by the jade's curse. As Yuji looks outside towards the neighbor's backyard, he sees Rina open her window. She notices the pair of them. She starts to giggle. While pointing towards the backyard, her giggling turns to terror when she sees the doctor pull up. Later on, Yuji is rereading the diary, and wondering if the doctor that visits Rina is the same doctor that his grandfather was talking about. Remembering back, he gets the feeling that they must be. He wonders if maybe the doctor is looking for the jade sculpture. He decides maybe he should inform the doctor of his whereabouts, for Irina's sake. Outside at night, a man is seen looking in Irina's backyard for something. When he finds the jade sculpture, a few days pass, and a typhoon is moving in near where Yuji lives. Yuji is studying, when suddenly the power to his house goes out. He then hears a banging on his window. Unsure about the noise, he opens his blinds to see what is making the sound. To his shock, he finds a hole written Hideo, saying that he is so cold. He breaks the window into Yuji's room, to show him that he found the jade statue. It was right where Rina was pointing. He says he didn't think that the curse was real, and thought the jade would be valuable, but shortly after he picked it up, holes started opening up all over his body. Then the doctor appeared. He is the messenger of the curse and always appears wherever the jade statue is. Hideo senses something and turns. The doctor is standing nearby and begins walking towards Hideo. Hideo runs away in fear, and the doctor pursues him. The next day, Haikyuu's body was found on the edge of a river. It is not known what happened to the jade, but now he sees Rina, outside in their garden, the holes in her body having completely disappeared. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. Peace out, and I meet you on the next